Hello, my friends. Always good to be with you. And I wanted to share a story about the power of gratitude to the point that it can create a miracle. And it's a personal story that I guess I've waited a couple years to say, and I'm ready to say it now. And let's roll back to the wonderful year, otherwise known as the dumpster fire year of 2020. And at that point, I was very happy. I was getting ready to launch again my second book. And right before I was flying out to LA to go to a convention there and to speak, I had discovered a lump in my breast and had gone to get it examined. And interestingly enough, the mammogram didn't detect anything, but my physician, she did, as did I. And with that, had the MRI done. And I remember before I had to leave for LA, I was told that it looked very suspicious and that I needed it to be taken care of and looked at as soon as possible. So, unfortunately, by the time I came back, the pandemic happened. And here in my state, the glorious state of Pennsylvania, the governor at that time had decided that unless if you had started treatment already, that all treatment was to be denied or to wait because so many medical facilities were flooded over with people with respiratory distress around the world, people in India and so forth, from this pandemic that was going on. And it was very difficult for me knowing that I had this, if you will, a time bomb. And what was interesting to note about it was from a spiritual standpoint, it had come about from my doing some very deep work to release not only generational wounds of racism and against sexism, but also within my own incarnations. And what was really startling about this particular cancer was that there was no history of this type of cancer or even breast cancer in either side from any genealogical standpoint. So fast forward to biting my fingernails, figuratively speaking, to May. And we had gone from that point from the cancer being discovered to it advancing already to stage 2A, right at the precipice of it beginning to metastasize. And I'll never forget, I have my Fab Five, and you guys know who you are, and I thank you. When finally I was able to receive the beginning of treatments, biopsies, and so forth, that it was considered to be one of the worst possible, where typically cancers can have what they call aggression level, 1 being not so much to 5, it's eating you alive. Mine was 4 point something. And the type that of cancer that I had, a HER2 positive, and there are other things with it, was considered to be one of the most difficult to cure, if it could be cured at all, or put into remission. And I'll never forget that day when my oncologist told me, and I had one of my Fab Five, a beautiful friend of mine who's a physician who was there for me as my medical advocate, and to be able to interpret things that as a lay person I may not understand. And I was told in no uncertain terms to get my affairs in order, that I might have a year to live, and underneath very poor conditions indeed, very poor quality of life. And I remember being driven home by my friend who was a physician, and she essentially had tears in her eyes. And I remember looking to her and saying to her, it's like, I can't understand or explain to you why, just deep in my soul, I know that it's not my time, that there's more for me to do here. And she smiled at me, as a physician will do, and as a caring friend, when they feel that a patient may not necessarily understand the gravity of the diagnosis they've been given, and or being in shock. And I'll never forget where she just tearfully looked at me briefly as she was driving me back home after the battery tests, which were quite painful. And she said, if anyone were to be able to beat this Skyfire, it would be you. And I remember just sitting with this. It was quite the shock. You know, I can't say that it wasn't devastating. And I remember just asking for prayers and asking, please, for healing energy. And here was for me the power of gratitude. As you, my friends, know, over the years, I've had the joy and the honor of being able to share the wisdoms and insights from my heritage and also from my sacred training. And I put it out there because I want to share. I want to help. I don't look for anything. One of the most beautiful things, and I still get teary-eyed, is when word got out there of the grave condition of potentially death, you know, coming to hold my hand. The prayers and the well wishes that came from all of you from around the world. It was just stunning to me. I guess in a very humble way, I just speak and I hope that I'm being heard somewhere. But the reaching back of love, the reaching back of support from all of you, and especially from my, what I call the Fab Five, who was with me during that time of hardship, you know, of the chemo, of the radiation, of the immuno, of everything. It was hard. I won't lie. It was the hardest thing that I had ever had to endure physically. And I remember reflecting that this is happening for so many reasons. The first one, as I mentioned previously, is I'd done some deeper spiritual work. And the body needing to be a synchronized vessel with the soul that it is carrying no longer needed to carry that toxic DNA that had manifested as this lethal breast cancer. And from a personal level, to learn about love, to learn about gratitude, to learn about receiving. And it was a very profound time for me. You know, I learned to be grateful for the smallest of things. You learn that once upon a time when I thought was big things and getting caught up in the busy was really insignificant. You know, yes, it's necessary. You have to, you know, to work and to maintain. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting caught up in artificial things and artificial realities when we are real, when the time that we have is so precious. And in that time of nurturing was very much like being in a cocoon, learning from so many of you, so many that in the medical field, it was a wonderful combination of holistic spirituality and science. That to the joy, I remember, I'll never forget my oncologist literally giving a whoop of joy that by October of that same year, against all odds, the cancer had already become eradicated and my body was already eliminating the dead cells of it. And I went through with the rest of the treatment to safeguard. But it was really no less than a miracle that I am still 1 year as of July 7th in full remission. But I wanted to share that with you because it made me realize, and I wanted to share with you, the power of gratitude. You know, the power of really appreciating the little things, appreciating moments. And in that time of that very hard journey, I could not escape the pain, and at times there was suffering in my, excuse me, in my body and my mind. But holding on to the prayers, the well wishes, the healing energy from all of you, from all over, and allowing myself to receive that is why I'm here. And I'm here today to share that story of the power of gratitude and the miracle that came from it. So in this time, don't get caught up in that artificial of, excuse me, the materialism and everything that can happen. Yes, the joy of gift giving if it's in your heart, but Give it the most precious things. The present of being present. The gift of time and sharing. The gift of showing appreciation. The gifts of kindness. The most powerful things in the world. The most beautiful gifts of the soul cannot be touched, nor can they be bought. And this is the precious beauty that the Creator, the Great Spirit, has given to each and every one of us. This incredible ability to lift each other up, to the power of gratitude that can literally create miracles. And it can change the world, starting with the world within you. And if you shine like that bright star, just by being who you are, your humor, your way of being, that it helps to encourage others to shine. So we are like the night sky, full of brilliance and light. And so, my wonderful friends, I just felt compelled to share that after, I guess, 2 years of going through that fight, and really wanting to share my appreciation for all of you with sharing. And it was during that time that I knew that there were so many of us that needed that sense of hope, that needed, even in the time of that pandemic and loneliness and everything that was going on, that I was encouraged and directed by those who walk with me to begin my YouTube channel, to begin doing the videos. So if you're curious, you can actually see me as I was going through this cancer journey to where I am today. So it's never too late. You know, do not doubt your ability to help to create miracles within you and around you. And so with that, the biggest, deepest Wanishi, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And bright blessings, my friends, until we get to be with each other again. And remember, be grateful, walk in gratitude, and you will be amazed at how your world becomes brighter for you and those whose paths you cross. Dane ho, it is finished.